Mr President. I'd like to thank honourable members for their contribution, the Honourable Ben Hood, the Honourable Connie Benares, the Honourable Sarah Game and the Attorney-General. Mr President, some issues ought to be above politics, and it's disappointing that the government decided to play politics on this issue. I'd like to address commentary in the Advertiser today from the Attorney-General saying, "I welcome the State Liberals following our lead and jumping on board this worthy cause." It is a worthy cause indeed, Mr President. It was my understanding that the Super for Survivors team had been met with less than desired action from the Attorney-General, hence the need for this motion. Earlier this afternoon, members of Parliament and staff had the opportunity to hear from Super for Survivors team, including Andrew Carpenter from Webster's Lawyers, Adam Washbourne from Fighters Against Child Abuse Australia, and Madeline West from Safe on Social and Project Paradigm. This afternoon's forum was moving and a clear demonstration on why this change is needed. I thank members of Parliament and staff who took time out of their busy day to attend this really important forum. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the Super for Survivors team and their continued advocacy in this incredibly important space. Through their advocacy, they are able to give a voice to so many who maybe aren't able to speak for themselves. I was horrified when I learnt convicted pedophiles can hide their assets in their superannuation to avoid compensating survivors of their vile crimes, and I strongly believe this needs to change. Mr President, this motion seeks to call on the Malinauskas government to urge action from their federal counterparts to close the legal loophole which protects pedophiles' superannuation from access by their victim survivors. Currently, offenders are able to hide their assets in their superannuation because there is no provision allowing sexual abuse survivors to access these funds. As a result, many survivors have been unable to receive the compensation they deserve, and the horrendous scourge of child sexual abuse impacts the quality of life and the health of these victim survivors in both the long term and the short term. The lack of avenues for compensation for some of these victims is something that needs to be addressed. This can ultimately leave victim survivors with little to no support as they try to seek the help that they need because of this crime, and a continued sense of injustice after so many years of trauma. Child sexual abuse is the most unforgivable of acts, and the fact that many survivors are unable to access the compensation they deserve and the compensation they have been awarded just adds salt to their wounds. While reforming superannuation law is a federal issue, ensuring child abuse survivors have the support they need should be a priority for our community as a whole. This is not a case of winning the lottery. Compensation for survivors of child sexual abuse will never right the wrongs committed against them, but it will provide some kind of financial stability and assist them in getting the support that they need. For many, this may be the first time that they have had financial stability. Pedophiles should not have the privilege to conceal their assets or enjoy a peaceful retirement while their victims serve a life sentence due to the nature of these crimes committed against them. Child sex offenders should be held responsible for compensating their victims, with all of their funds made available for doing so. The system should be there to support these victim survivors, and it's about time that it was no longer stacked against them. With those words, Mr President, I commend the motion to the House.
So the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those for the question say aye. Aye. Against say no. The ayes have it. Clark.